Hi there, everybody. Welcome to another album review. My name is Christian Eschbach. Everyone, I am so ecstatic to be doing the album review I'm doing today. And that is for The Who's Tommy. But we're not talking about The Who's Tommy, which I've actually already covered as a review. We're talking about The Who's Tommy. That's right. The original motion picture soundtrack starring Anne Margaret, Oliver Reed, Roger Daltrey. Obviously, you got to have Roger Daltrey as Tommy, and featuring Elton John as the Pinball Wizard. Guest artists include Eric Clapton, John Entwistle, Keith Moon, of course, like guest musicians or members of the band. Paul Nicholas, Jack Nicholson, Robert Powell, Pete Townshend, Tina Turner, and The Who. Okay, so let's see. We got Roger Daltrey, John Entwistle, Keith Moon, Pete Townshend, and The Who. Mao? There's more than that even going on in here too. Like this is kind of almost to a small degree like a who's who almost. I want to say. All right, I've covered the album already, so and I'll be honest, I could have and should have probably went back and watched that album review to hear what I said about it. Realistically, put together an all-star cast that everybody's kind of in their they're in that weird swing point where they've started doing too much drugs, but they haven't gone that step too far yet. Like the legends I have heard about what was going on in this, like Tina Turner was at one of her almost worst points in her history when this movie and album was done and everything like that. But her version of Gypsy Queen on here, man, to this day, it still gives me chills. Oh, fuck. It's because of this album I love Tina Turner so much, man. This album was what introduced me to that goddess's voice. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Tina Turner, man. Elton John doing Pinball Wizard, man. Okay, I love the original, but you get that piano ripping on that, man. I love when Elton's ripping up the piano on Pinball Wizard. It's just, and then you mix it with the big windmill. Wow, like it just, the whole thing together is just amazing. Um, okay, so when it comes down to it, I saw the movie before I actually bought the album for myself. And that might have a small part to do with it, but I honestly do prefer the motion picture to the original album itself. I love having the different voices portraying the different characters. To me, that makes it more of a musical to me, okay? Or the rock opera that it is. Having the same, like, let's be honest, okay? The Who had 4 members in the band, so unless they brought in a bunch of guest artists, which would make it hard to replicate live, they kind of had no choice but to go with, the 4 voices that were around, right? So, not to hold that against them when they're recording the album. But having it on here is just so much better. And I mean, okay, so I don't. There's actually an interesting story I'm gonna have go with this as well. So here's oh shit, here's the inside. Love that. Love that whole fractured mirror. Okay, so this is the Polydor release. So this is the US release. It's going to be from the original run of it. I guarantee that's where my uncle bought this. Now, this record, sadly, both of them are not in the best shape. They're not horrible. They play okay, but you can hear that there's little scratches in them. And this was actually one of the reasons why my uncle, when I was a teenager, would not allow me to have these albums. And he insisted that they had to be taken away from you when I borrowed them without permission. And the other reason is going into this. If you notice that side 3 and side 4, I have this cool little lyric page and everything, a couple little cool pictures in them. By the way, Ann-Margret was so gorgeous in this movie. Oh, thought she was so goddamn hot in this movie. No clue who she was. To this day, I'll be honest with you, I still really don't know anything about Ann-Margret. Other than she was just absolutely freaking phenomenal in this movie. I thought she was just so gorgeous and beautiful. But what I was saying is my uncle, the reason why he wouldn't let me have these albums, along with a bunch of other ones that I'm going to be covering as we go along, is because he lent this one. I know this one was lent out. And the reason I know that is my uncle had always talked about lending another member of my family these album or different albums to listen to, and he was pissed when he got them back because there were scratches in them, there were sleeves missing on the vinyl. He never said what albums, and I'll be honest, I never really thought about the story much until I grabbed this to throw it on my record player and I could hear some skips in it and whatnot. I'm like, oh, bummer. And it is a real shame because I do love this so much. So unfortunately, due to the scratches in this particular version, I won't be listening to this. I gotta find myself a digitally remastered version of this, man, because I forgot how much I really love this. And it's not just putting on the movie, okay? Like, I mean, putting on the movie is fantastic. I love watching the movie. And I'm overdue for a watch. I usually watch it a minimum of once a year, and I think I'm overdue this year. But this soundtrack, I've got to get my hands just on this version of the music because I just really love this. And if you can get your hands on a digitally remastered or a mint pressing of this, because if I get my hands on a mint pressing of this, I would go with that happily too. Crank it the fuck up on the stereo, man. Absolutely love it. So yeah, I'm gonna just end this here. I can't gush about this enough. One of my all-time favorites. I know there's a lot of people that talk smack about that. There's a lot of people that don't like it. There are definitely limitations to it. I mean, you can definitely tell that a lot of the performers were not necessarily at their finest or at their best, whereas some of the others were just ripping it up. I mean, you're talking Elton John when Elton John was really starting to break out for himself. You know, you're talking the Who, you know, doing what the Who does best, Tommy. You know, so the whole way around to me is just, it's a great piece of history to me, a great piece of rock history. Anyways, folks, let me know what you think. That's what the comment section is for. Drop me a line down below. On your way down in the comments, you'll see there should be a comment. It's got some links in it. Check out that comment. You'll also see a like button, a subscribe button, a bell for notification. Please feel free to hit those. And otherwise, peace, love. Take care.